A lot of data science graduates are finding themselves in a brutal position right now. Qualified on paper, heavily invested, and still unable to land interviews. They've earned the degree, completed the capstone, and they did what they believed would make them competitive in today's job market. But unfortunately, the market has changed faster than most programs can keep up with. And that disconnect is expensive because when you spend years building credentials that employers no longer prioritize, you don't just lose time, you lose momentum, confidence, and real career options. So in this video, I'm going to break down why that's happening, where these programs are falling short, and what actually matters this year if your goal is to get hired. So you can stop competing as just another graduate and start positioning yourself as someone a company can actually use. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. Now, if this is your first time here, I'm Kadisha, and 6 years ago, I was delivering pizzas and Amazon packages for $8 an hour. And today, I am running a community of over 80,000 current and aspiring data professionals, and I've helped thousands of other career changers break into data analytics without going back to school and wasting money on courses that just don't work. If you're ever interested in working with me to land your first role in data analytics, click the link in the description. So let's get into it. All right, so let's just be real for a second. The reality is most of these programs are selling you a product that was designed for a market that does not exist anymore. Over 15 years ago, Harvard Business Review called data science the sexiest job of the 21st century. IBM and McKinsey started warning about a talent shortage, and universities did what universities normally do. They moved fast. One school after another spun up a data science master's degree program, and by 2021, over half of all accredited business schools had one. They were graduating tens of thousands of people per year, and most of these programs had almost no connection to math, statistics, or computer science departments. They were just cobbled together from business school electives and technical buzzwords. Why? Because there was money to be made of selling the dream. One university administrator even said directly the degree was hastily thrown together in the mid-2010s, not because there was any expense to teach it, but because there was money to be made by selling it. So they built a product and you bought it, and now you're sitting here wondering why it's not working. And now you're also probably thinking, hey, my program had a capstone project, so that proves I can do the work. It does not. Ben Stansel, one of the most respected voices in the data industry, described capstone projects from universities as manufactured busy work. It has all the appearance of practicality and prestige, but it is in fact not an education or real-world experience. It's just a line for a resume. So it's no longer real proof anymore. That's just a homework assignment with a fancy name. Here's the difference between weak proof and strong proof. Weak proof comes from structured assignments where someone just hands you the data, tells you all the questions and the answers. Strong proof comes from genuine curiosity-driven work, where you're handed a real problem, you get messy data, deal with dead ends, null values, and ambiguity, and deliver something that's actually meaningful. Proof is the product, and right now your capstone looks exactly like everyone else's. A study was done on graduate employability in 2025. It surveyed employers, graduates, and educators, and the number that stopped me was only 30% of 2025 graduates landed a full-time job in their field. Just 30. So if you're in a cohort of 10 people, 7 of them are going to go home empty-handed. And it's not because the jobs disappeared. 76% of employers say that they are hiring the same number or fewer entry-level workers than last year, which means the seats didn't vanish, the competition just got more brutal. And when graduates in that same study were asked what actually got them hired, they ranked personal referrals, internships, and prior work experience at the top. The degree, dead last. So you spent $60,000 on a thing that matters least to people making the decision. I talk to people in my community all the time who spend all this money, $50,000, $20,000 or whatever, on these master's degree programs. One of my students, a PhD graduate, came to me after years of struggling to make that transition from academia to industry. She had way more credentials than anyone in the room, even myself, and she still couldn't get hired because she had a credential problem but not a skill problem. She was technically qualified but strategically invisible. You invested years and tens of thousands of dollars of getting educated but neglected your brand. You neglected proof creation. You neglected discoverability. You have no stand-up portfolio, your LinkedIn is a ghost town, and your career narrative is just hire me, I just graduated. Generic is visible, and you're positioning yourself as one more graduate instead of the person who can solve a specific problem. Quick pause. Now, if you want to land your first job in data analytics and avoid the lengthy mistakes that I did, click the link in the pinned comment where you can find the exact steps that my students use to land their job in data analytics without going back to school. All right, now let's get back to it. So let's talk about what hiring managers really want, because it's not your GPA. It's not your ability to write complex machine learning algorithms that nobody in the business understands. The Cengage report also found that employers rank job-specific technical abilities as their top priority. What employers want is business thinking. They want someone who can translate the noise of data into strategic decisions. How does that query make the business more money? How does this dashboard save time? How does this analysis reduce churn? If you can't answer those questions, your technical skills don't matter. The job market market of data science is projected to grow 34%. So it's not a dying field, but the bar has moved, and employers are now more sophisticated, more precise, and less likely to make speculative hires. So where exactly do you start? You start with proof. Actual proof, not just a capstone project someone handed to you with a clean Kaggle dataset and a predetermined answer. Find a real problem that does not have a defined answer. It could be a Fortune 500 company, a nonprofit, or even a local small business, but something that you actually care about. Scrape the messy data, handle the dead ends, and document your thinking. Ben Stancil put it exactly right. When you're genuinely curious, you dig until you find something interesting instead of just trying to match the answer in the back of the book. That digging is what really makes a difference between the top 1% and everyone else. But real proof without business thinking is just a cool project that nobody understands. Every time you touch a tool, ask yourself, so what? Now here's somewhere else where graduates drop the ball, even after they've done the work. You can have great projects, you got the skills, but then they go apply on LinkedIn into the void and wonder why no one calls them back. Refer candidates are 7 times more likely to get hired than people who come through a job board. You cannot build in private and expect the job market to find you. You need a LinkedIn presence that shows your work, not just lists your education, and you need to be in real conversations with real people. And here's an elevated perspective that most academics won't say out loud. Employers no longer want the most educated candidate. They want the most useful one. We have been conditioned to believe that credentials automatically create credibility. That if you just get the right degree from the right school, the job offers will follow. But here's what the belief actually looks in practice. You're paying luxury prices for fancy packaging, and the hiring manager only cares what's inside the box. A degree can make you look educated, but it doesn't automatically make you useful. And let's talk about AI for a second, because everyone is using it as an excuse right now. AI is taking all the jobs. AI is replacing data analysts and data scientists. Let me be honest with you. Most of that is overblown. Yes, AI can write basic code, it can generate some simple visualizations, but it cannot sit in a boardroom with stressed out VPs and figure out why customer acquisition cost is spiking and design a data solution that actually fixes the problem. AI cannot build trust with a stakeholder, and AI cannot ask the right questions when nobody even knows what the right question even is. The students winning in my community are not the ones with the most certificates. They are the ones who learn how to think like an analyst, who can take a vague, messy, ambiguous business problem and turning it into clean, actionable recommendations. That is the skill, and that is what gets you paid today, not another degree. So if you're tired of being overeducated and overlooked, it's time to change your approach. Stop relying on paper and start building real proof. The market isn't broken, your strategy is. And that's the good news because it's fixable. And if you want to see exactly what a winning portfolio looks like versus a losing one, check out this next video.